Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elise and this is my mystical bookshelf, and today I have for you my thoughts on The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst, and it is narrated by Caitlin Davies on Audible. And let me just say that it was a magical experience listening to this book on Audible. I feel like Audible has been really killing it lately. Like, I have been listening to audiobooks nonstop, and especially the cozy fantasy variety, and those are they're probably my favorite to listen to, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's so easy just listening to them. I just feel like they bring me such joy, and they're so entertaining. And this one was especially great because I feel like Caitlin Davies really brought the characters to life, which is what I always look for in an audiobook. And there's like little interludes of music, and I just feel like it was a really great experience listening to it. So basically, The Spellshop is about this woman who is in her early 20s, I think, and her name is Keela, and she used to be a librarian at this island town. It's kind of like a fantasy world. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it says the Great Library of Elysium. I think that's where her original home was, and she's a librarian there, but that's not exactly where the story takes place, because this cozy fantasy, it is very cozy, but it's a little bit high stakes because Keela is running away from Elysium because there's a lot of political unrest in the story. That's kind of how it opens up. It kind of opens up in like a really scary scene. It's not super scary, but it's kind of intense. Like the library that Keela works in when the book first opens up is on fire, and she's kind of like running for her life with her plant friend, who is named Kaz, and he is a sentient spider plant. Now, when I started listening to this, I was like, whoa, a sentient spider plant. That is rocking it. I love him. He's one of my favorite characters in this book. He's got a great personality. And to say that that's really what drew me in, and that's what kind of pulled me from the first get-go, was Kaz talking, because he has this British accent that Caitlin Davies does perfectly. It's like this British butler accent almost, and it is so cute, and he's really cute. I love him. So her and Kaz, they flee the library, and they're trying to save all these books in the beginning, and it's really high stakes because the building's literally on fire when they're trying to escape. And I was like, whoa, how is this gonna go? I don't know where this is going right now, but I love it. It really drew me in from the first chapter, I'm not gonna lie. It was definitely interesting. Like, knowing that there's all this political unrest and that the Capitol got overthrown in this fantasy world, and all these people were dying who had like a lot of power, and it just felt like a really interesting way to open up that world. But unfortunately, we don't get a lot of Elysium. We only get that first part where the library's on fire. So I kind of thought it was going to be about the library mostly, but we end up at this island where Keela used to live when she was a little girl. So her and Kaz get on this boat, and they go to this island. And she kind of has like vague memories of it with her mom and dad. And her mom and dad are not here anymore. They passed away from some disease, I think. They had like a long-standing illness. And so they're on this boat, and she remembers that she used to live on this island when she was little, and they see it, and they're like, oh, let's go there. So that's where the story kind of picks up, is when they go to this island and they're trying to live the island life. And I'm honestly, when I heard that it was an island, I kind of thought Animal Crossing. That's really what it reminded me of, Animal Crossing New Horizons. And it was so cute. The setting was beautiful. The characters were really great. There's a bunch of characters in this book. And I feel like I wrote down some of them, but I feel like there's so many in here. I can't even list all of them, but the ones that I wrote down were Kaz, obviously. There's Bryn, who is this, she's not a fox. She's a deer. She's a deer lady, and it's like she's like an anthropomorphic deer. So that's kind of what made me think of Animal Crossing 2. It reminded me of Fauna. But she's Bryn is a baker, and she's the first one to meet Keela, I think, in this story. Like, she's the first villager that she meets. And Bryn owns this bakery, and she kind of inspires Keela to start her own store. Because Keela doesn't really have a way to make money when she first gets to this island. She kind of has to gather resources and like figure out what she's gonna do to make a living for her and Kaz. And she comes up with this idea to make jam. And I thought that was super cute because the island apparently has all this fruit and all these trees that are kind of like sickly. So she and Kaz think up these, they fix the trees with these magical spells. And the important thing about the magic is that apparently in Elysium, only like really powerful people could use magic. It wasn't like something that everybody could use, which I also thought was interesting. But with Keela being a librarian, she knew a lot about magic because she read all these magic books. And she's not necessarily a wizard or a witch, but she kind of like learns how to perform spells on her own. Which I also really thought was cool because it's kind of like she taught herself how to do all this stuff, which is really, really sweet. I loved that part. That was my favorite. And so she saves these trees and she starts this jam shop, and she kind of sells spells to the other villagers too, which I thought was cute. And so she's trying to spread this good magic, which is really great. That's kind of like the heart of the story, is Keela is trying to help revive the island because it's definitely not what it used to be. And it was kind of sad, but it was very heartwarming that she wanted to help like bring the island back to its heyday. So that was interesting too. And she meets a bunch of these other people who are, one of them is a centaur named Edie, and the other girl, her name is Ulina, and I think she has like 6 arms or something. She's kind of like an octopus, spider lady. I don't think she looks like a spider or an animal. I think she just has multiple arms. But she was super cute. I think Ulina was another one of my favorite side characters. She just sounded so dainty and sweet, and she could like play the harp really beautifully because she has all these arms, which I also thought was cool. And let me see. There's also Lauren, and Lauren is the love interest in this book. And what I liked most about this book, besides the setting, was the romance. It's kind of a slow burn, and it's like friends to lovers, and it's really cute. And it didn't bother me that it was slow. Sometimes I prefer slow romances, because Lauren and Keela, throughout the whole story, they really got to get to know each other, and they became like best friends. And then they realized they liked each other, and that was super cute. And it was like no spice whatsoever. It's a very closed-door romance, and closed-door romances are my favorite romances because I don't really need all those details. I really don't. It brings me no joy. So that was definitely another great part of this book, is the closed-door romance. And It was just very sweet. It was definitely a happily ever after, because in the end, Keela is this jam shop owner, and she brings all these spells to these people, and she brings the island back to its peak with all the magical trees, and the island is healthier, and everything kind of just ends up really nice, and it's tied with a cute little bow, and you just have this really warm feeling when you're done reading it. At least that's what I felt like. The way that I can describe how I felt after I listened to this book, it was like I was done watching one of my favorite movies and I just had a nice cup of tea. It kind of just felt really warm and made me feel fuzzy, and it made me smile. Like at the end, I was just had this big grin on my face. I was like, that was the best, cutest book I have ever read, and it just came out like 3 months ago, I think. I think it came out in July, and I was like, wow, like 2024, who knew I was going to read the Spellshop, and who knew it was going to be my favorite book, because it's definitely up there. I think it's my favorite read for this year, most likely. Like, I'm planning on making a list of all the books I've read, and I'm going to rank them, but I'm pretty sure this is going to rank as my favorite, because it was really cute, and it was perfect. It wasn't necessarily like fall themed. It felt more like August and like late summer themed, but it still had those really cozy autumn vibes, even though it was kind of like a summery book. But that's how it made me feel, really. And I totally recommend it, and it's definitely a 5 out of 5 stars, and I just can't stop gushing about this book. And I just heard that Sarah is coming out with the next book in 2025, and apparently it's about the woman who made Kaz, which I think is going to be a home run. And I'm interested because when we learn about who made Kaz, we learn that she got turned into a wooden statue. So I'm interested to see if someone like saves this woman and turns her back into a human. So I can't wait to read that. I think I read it's coming out next July of 2025. So about exactly a year from when this first book was released. So I can't wait to get my hands on that. And yeah, this was definitely my favorite read for the month of September, and probably my favorite 2024 book. But I thank you so much for watching this, and I thank my subscribers too. I can't believe that I have 11 subscribers. I think it's very nice and sweet, and I hope that everybody enjoys my videos so far. And if anybody has any ideas of videos that they want me to make, or something that they'd want me to talk about, or even a book that you want to recommend to me, please leave me a comment. I would love to talk to you. And for that is this is my week video. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, friends.